bring with you short, please. Welcome. This is very wet meeting. We have a long agenda for tonight, so we're going to get started with it. Yes, 1, 2. Okay, let me ask Mr. Wendell to do our invocation, please.
Sure, let's bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all you do. I ask that you bless us, bless everybody here. Ask for your wisdom and your strength, and just let us all remember we are members of this community, and we ask that you just keep an eye on all of us. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's do our introductions now.
My name is Mary Deanne. I will be composing the minutes. Diane Lawson.
Mike Adams.
Dina Barnes.
Mark Hunter.
John Day. Reese Walker.
Scott Whitaker, Town Manager.
Dean Hall, Finance Officer.
William Hill, Town Attorney.
Jerry Spencer, Planning Director.
Sean Taylor, Town Planner.
Okay, we'll begin with the consent agenda now. Tonight, the consent agenda consists of the meeting agenda, adoption of open and closed session minutes for May 9th, open session for May 23rd. The financial report, finance officer budget amendment number 1, fiscal year 16-17. And the manager asks that we delete number 11D, which is the architectural services for the board building, from this agenda, and add in its place one called public records request. The manager also wishes for council to, instead of adjourning for the night, that we recess and try to meet at another time for purposes of this architectural services for Gordon Hardware and Martin House. Would you want to go into that a little bit?
And yeah, I'd like to just consider when we get to the end of the meeting, instead of adjourning, recess, and I've got about 4 dates to throw out, and if we can work it out tonight amongst all your calendars at the end of the meeting, we will, and if we can't, we'll regroup and do it a different way and simply adjourn. But that way the public knows that if you leave, we intend to try to recess to a special call meeting. Or just recess, actually.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else to add? Whatever to the agenda.
No one wants to add.
I agree. We have a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Motion by Ms. Barnes, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Lawson. Further comments? All in favor, raise your hands. Okay, announcements, anyone?
A couple of things this weekend. This Saturday morning on the 17th, we have our annual fishing derby here at the lake, and we're anticipating rain, so if you're involved or have relatives that are going to come out for that, we're going to try to make a decision by Friday at 10 a.m. on rescheduling that. The weather looks a little better for Saturday evening, and that's when we have our music in the park event. It's the special occasion band, and that starts at 6 to 8:30. And so special occasion band that was here last year, real good turnout for that. It's at our new amphitheater where we have on the screen there a new amphitheater cover. So we've got shelter if we have a little bit of bad weather, but as of now that's on. One other quick announcement is we had a zoning board meeting that was a week ago Monday on June the 5th, and just wanted to let everybody know we had, we have a lot of notices that accompany that. We have notices on the bulletin board. We do a mailer to residents within a specified area. We post the site with signs. We put flyers on the signs where you can, get all the information out of the tube. We updated that information. It was rescheduled from the regular meeting before that. And we did the legal ad. We did all the right things, except we missed one thing. We didn't get it posted on our website until actually the day of. I feel like everybody was noticed, but I apologize that we missed that in the absence of our clerk who's out on leave right now, and we'll try to do better.
And Mr. Mayor, just for clarity's sake, I've looked at the notice that was provided and it was legally sufficient. There's no issue there. It's just, we probably should put it on the website to be better at it.
Did you review the process with the rest of the staff and you feel that
Yeah,
whatever that poll was, you have a backup for now?
we did, and made sure that we've got one coming up later this month, so we made sure we've got everything in line for that.
Thanks for
Okay, we've got a public comment.
I have one, Mayor, since she's here, I figure we should recognize her. Captain Jenna Daniels is here from the Summerfield Fire District and was awarded, what was it?
Child Safety Technique.
For the whole state.
Okay, public comment is this limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Dwayne Crawford.
And as Dwayne's coming up, we had 3 sign-up sheets, so for this segment, it's just general public comments. If you want to speak for the zoning case, that's a separate sheet, and then one other for the budget hearing.
Wayne Crawford, 1106 NC Highway 150 West. Going back to the thing that was talked about, the public notice for that meeting last Monday, there's 2 chapters in the statutes that govern notification requirements. What you heard discussed was the notification requirements for a public hearing. There's a separate chapter that governs notification requirements for special call meetings. They're both required when you have special call meetings. We did not have the required web posting 48 hours in advance. We did not have the sunshine mailing list, 5 people on that list. Nobody received it, though we've received it in the past. The third thing that's required is that you must post it on the bulletin board. We have a photo after the meeting that shows no posting. We don't know when it was taken down. We don't know if it existed. So there was information that was not made clear earlier in the conversation. Segue off of that. Council, been paying attention for 15 years, and there's these things that these patterns that keep getting repeated. Things keep happening, like failure to vote notice. I'm not going to make a big deal of that. I'm going to drop it after today. I'm going to go back and read to you something that happened in 2013 I think is a big deal in the same vein, but of enormously more consequence. This was sent to the town council. Mr. Hill, Mr. Whitaker, Summerfield Town Council et al. I have many serious problems regarding the October 8th Milan rezoning. This is dated 11/18/2013. The general statutes in 168-383 requires that when adopted or rejecting any zoning amendment, the board shall also approve a statement describing whether the action is consistent with adopted comprehensive plan and any other officially adopted plan as applicable, and meeting and briefly explaining why the board considers the action to be reasonable. You all know this. We've been doing this for years. Council actions on October 8, 2013 and subsequent failed to satisfy statutory muster because when council adopted the zoning amendment, October 2013, it failed to contemporaneously, meaning at the same time, it failed to approve the requisite statement of reasonableness. You guys do this day in, day out, zoning year after year. That's the one time we failed. It is not within statutory authority of the council to adopt a statement of reasonableness non-contemporaneously, meaning at a different time from the rezoning or when the act of adopting that zoning ordinance. You're not allowed to do that. You have to continue the meeting like you were asked to do tonight. That did not happen in October 2013. Staff letter that was delivered to you in November explains why staff considers the rezoning action to be reasonable. You guys were asked to ratify. There's no statute out there that talks about ratifying letters, but you were asked to ratify a letter 30 days later, non-contemporaneously, at my non-continued meeting, about why the council actions were reasonable, and why the board approved a statement explaining why the board didn't approve anything. The board approved somebody else's letter. It approved staff's letter. Another section of statute explains to meet the requirements of approved statement must describe whether the zoning amendment is consistent with any controlled land use plans and why it's reasonable in the public interest. The statement adopted by a council provides no such explanation or description. Rather, it consists only with the general declaration that the motion adopted the zoning amendment was consistent with the 2003 market analysis and commercial needs assessment and the 2010 plan. The 2003 market analysis and commercial needs assessment, also known as the road study, was a study never adopted, but yet that was in your motion to approve that. Council's emphatic intent to comply with the 2003 market analysis and commercial needs assessment, the road study, fails to meet statutory requirements that the zoning amendment be based on the official comprehensive plan that was adopted 2 years earlier. You adopted a motion, rezoning, in my opinion. This is a much bigger problem. It's a problem that I don't think that rezoning ever happened. Or if it did happen, it's illegal. And we need to stop this.
Teresa Pedro.
Teresa Peterson, 7401 Greenlawn Drive. Good evening, council, mayor, and staff. It is embarrassing for me to stand before you again to request something be done about my application to amend the Summerfield Comprehensive Plan. I respectfully requested this back in March at the public town meeting. The town received our decline letter on June 8th. Please advise the staff to take proactive action. My letter, in case y'all didn't receive it, was dated June 7th to the Summerfield Town Council in reference to the application. Dear council, we respectfully decline your offer to return our valid amendment request application fee. We view acceptance of that offer as tantamount to rescinding our valid request to amend our Summerfield Comprehensive Plan. Our request stands. Our request stands on behalf of the Summerfield Save-Our Committee and more than 1,300 residents who signed a petition affirming their interest to amend our comprehensive plan to establish limits on maximum average residential housing unit density in any new subdivision to be no more than 1 unit per 60,000 square feet. We base this decision in part on the USGS Aquifer System study for Guilford County and in the interest in protecting and preserving our critical underground water resources. We expect our valid request to amend the Summerfield Comprehensive Plan to work its way through the full amendment process up to and including public hearing for the Summerfield Town Council. Thank you, Teresa and Joanne.
So that's wonderful for me. There's a couple things I'd just like to point out in the selection of this committee after I received the list from Town Hall about who got on and the reasons that they got on, the recommendations and all that good stuff. There's just a couple of public things I'd like to point out to the public and to the committee. So the good thing about the internet is you can jump right on and get a lot of information about people. So the first thing I'd like to point out is in this factors that we took into consideration, we're giving those who haven't served on town committees an opportunity to contribute. When I look at this list, Mr. Brown was a previous town council member. Millie Hoffler-Fouché was chair of the Summerfield Finance Committee. Ryan Moats, who is currently serving as an alternate on the zoning board, is a member of the committee. Mr. Tesh has been members of many committees. And Jason Webster is also a member of the Open Space and Trails Committee, as well as Ms. Beth Kaplan's mother is the chair of the Trails and Space Committee, as well as her father is now an alternate on the zoning board. So that's the first thing I'd like to point out. So 5 members are currently, well, either were on a committee or are currently serving on a committee. I find that a little interesting. Also, you chose on the committee 2 of the most outspoken people for plan development, Ms. Kaplan, and also David Couch's neighbor, Deborah Holmoser. And I'd like to ask, where is the option for the against the PD vote? Where is that? I don't see it here. No one here is outspoken. So, I haven't been paying attention for 15 years, but I have been paying attention for 6 months. And what I'd like to say is that I do feel like this is a stacked committee. I feel like you went into it with the intent to get the results that you wanted. So I do not feel like a lot of consideration was given to the people who are clearly against this plan development. Very few people who were outspoken, actually no people who were outspoken got on this committee. It has also come to my attention that the committee asked the applicants if they had signed one of the either the petition for the water or the petition that was online, which I think is very discriminatory. I also want to know if the council asked these committee members if they had either a personal relationship with David Couch or if they had a business relationship with David Couch, because 2 of the people on the committee are his neighbors, and Mr. Tesh does a lot of his business. So I just do not think that this committee is a good representation of the town of Summerfield. I'd like to make that public. And I'd also like to say that I went into this whole experience hoping that it would be a positive and unbiased committee, and it is very apparent that it is not, and I'm sorry, but I've lost a little bit of trust in you guys, so thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Now, committee reports, finance, anything there?
The finance committee didn't meet in their regular meeting in May, but we plan to meet Monday night.
Historical, we don't have a rep. Historical, trails and open space.
Trails and Open Space canceled their meeting last month due to we were under a tornado watch, and so we didn't come to the meeting. Our next meeting will be June the 28th at 6 o'clock.
Okay. Emergency services report, fire department.
In the month of May, the Summerfield Fire District ran 35 fire-related calls, 54 EMS-related calls, and 26 other calls, bringing our call total for May to 115 incidents. We installed 29 car seats. We reached 340 children through fire prevention and community outreach. We want to thank everyone that came out and looked at our new fire and life safety trailer at Founder's Day. We did get a lot of good feedback from the citizens, and we're hoping to have it at more community events in the future. We will be holding our first annual fire safety camp at the end of this month. We have 18 children who will be participating in the camp, which will take place June 26th and June 30th. So if you follow our Facebook page, you can see some pictures that will be posted from the camp. And then we just want to remind you, with July 4th coming up next month, according to the National Fire Prevention Association, fireworks cause an estimated 18,500 fires in the U.S. each year. In 2014, U.S. hospital emergency rooms saw an estimated 10,500 people for fireworks-related injuries. Sparklers alone account for more than 1/4 of emergency room fireworks injuries. So if you want to see fireworks, we recommend you go to a public show put on by experts. If you do choose to use consumer fireworks, please use extreme caution so that we don't show up at your Independence Day party.
Thank you, Jim. Don't seem to have anyone from the sheriff's office. Do we have anything from emergency services?
Yes, sir, we do. EMS reported 64 incidents for the month of May in Summerfield. They facilitated 2 major exercises, an active shooter exercise at Southwest Middle School with participants from all county law enforcement agencies, a hurricane exercise simulating the effects of the inland hurricane that would impact Guilford, and also Guilford Emergency Management assisted with the coordination of the severe storm response in northern Guilford near Northern High School with numerous trees, downs, and roads blocked on May 5th.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll go to the public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2017-2018 budget, and I think the manager is going to do a presentation on that.
Yes, we had our presentation on May the 23rd. We didn't have any citizens to show up for it, but we talked amongst ourselves. If you're interested, we had about 20 copies of the document on the table, which is what we're going to go over on screen. And we're going to go through and get the highlights and then get into the public hearing. So if you'll turn over, and the highlighted parts aren't in the book, so I'm just going to hit them here. We'll turn to page 5. The first part of this is I want to let you know that in March, Council had their annual strategic retreat that helped us to refocus on current goals and where we were moving forward in this coming budget year. If you have the document or if you want to go online and look at it, there's a recap of the current year priorities there. And that's discussed in detail. If you'll turn over to page 6, that's where we get into detail of the upcoming goals and priorities. And just listed in bullet form, you'll see them there on the screen, which is page 7. And as far as the main part of this budget, we're proposing a budget of $2,484,066. That is $868,000, $281 higher than last year's amended budget. And the narrative of the budget talks more in detail about that. That's largely the result of capital projects planned, not operating cost increases. The tax rate would remain at 2.75 cents, where it's been the last several years of $100 property valuation. And sometimes we get a question, I've heard this over the last couple of years about the appropriating so much fund balance. And this budget clarifies in the narrative that that's not a long-term strategy for us. We're in the middle of some important capital projects that have been on our capital projects list for years that are finally coming to fruition. So rather than incur new debt for that, we're using fund balance to pay for that, but then, we expect that budget to return to less appropriation of the fund balance to cover that. And that's just worth saying because it comes up a lot from the public. If you turn over to the next page, with departmental budgets. Just a quick look there at a breakdown of that 2.48 million proposed budget. The operating portion of that is roughly 1.2, with the capital cost roughly 1.2, and we'll look at that a little bit closer. So the request is for this is the adoption at that rate and that amount. And just briefly, we'll scroll through and hit the highlights of some other pages. If you'll jump to page, there's a lot of information in this document, but if you'll jump to page 15, for instance, that gives you a current breakdown of all of the contracting as a limited services government. It tells you who's doing what outside of our small limited staff. If you look on the next page, we've added, this is where we normally outline all the committees, we've added the UDO review committee that we expect to be established this evening, and gives you the purpose and charge of that committee. If you're interested in the budget policies and procedures, there's a lot of detail there on page 17, page 18 about budget control and policy guidelines. If you turn to page 19, this is a pretty interesting graph and page where we look at the general fund revenues. If you look at that graph, it's pretty easy to see where the revenues are coming from a percent standpoint, and also numerically there. So you're looking at those details that total up to that 2.48 million. If you look at the next page, this is capital projects and larger expenses, if we call it that, because every item is not technically a capital project, but we want everybody to be able to see quickly that, you know, aside from the capital projects, what are the big ticket items of this proposed budget? And if you look at that, again, that 1.3 million is what we have in that number, and we're just looking at things here that are 5,000 and up, just to keep it simple. And you see, again, a pretty clear graph there of breaking down the larger expenses and the capital projects. If you jump over to the next page, which is page 21, general fund expenditures, this is a pretty interesting, zoom in on that a bit, pretty interesting page too, showing the proposed budget there on the left-hand column. In the middle, you've got what was adopted last year, just to put it into perspective. So last year, we adopted a $2.348 million budget. So you can see that difference there of 2.48 this year. But if you look at where we are technically right now in the budget year, since we've amended it because of some capital projects, you look at that number and it's 1.615 million. So there's a comparison there, and it gives you that breakdown by department if you're interested in that level of detail. Jump into the next page with budget assumptions, justification, and notes. I'll pull out a few things quickly here. Our property valuation has gone up quite a bit, so we're at 1.511 billion in property valuation now. And so that's a considerable number for that really helps us do a lot with our low tax rate. We had some questions about, if you're looking in the spreadsheets, about the utility franchise tax, and this explains that those electric power franchise tax, cable franchise tax, pipe natural gas, and telecommunications tax have all been combined in one item now, and so that's why it looks different and funny on the spreadsheets. It's just the state's change with that. Hitting the highlights of salaries, we normally do budget a percentage for salary increases, which are based on merit, based on performance evaluations in Summerfield, and we budgeted 3.5% raises across potential raises. So if you have a great valuation, that's your starting point with 3.5%. And also something that's new that's different this year that we talked about at the May 23rd presentation was We've included a 2 to 3% longevity increase. That's part of a plan to retain employees. We've never had to think about that much lately, but we've got an employee that this year hit a 10-year milestone, 2 employees that hit 5-year milestones this year, so that's in there for that. With our benefits, we had changed last year from our major long-term provider med costs for our health insurance to Blue Cross Blue Shield. We've been satisfied with them since we've had them, so we're keeping that. Our vision and dental is still with MidCost and BSP, and the one change, or I'm sorry, the 2 changes there to the benefits. We've added an orthodontic benefit to the program. It costs the town a total of $246 a year for that coverage. And we also added, and this is the one change council since our meeting, it's the only change proposed since May 23rd. We have added a $720 portion for short-term disability for employees. And we didn't increase the budget, we just went back and looked at the salary items in those departments, and we feel like if we can watch the overtime and stay tight, that we can cover that, but it's an annual cost of $720. So that's the one thing you might want to think about with the budget that's changed in the last couple of weeks. And if you jump ahead, you see the real detailed budget starting on page 24. I'm not going to cover that because I just hit the highlights, but I'll answer any questions, and our finance officer will. Again, you see the revenues totaling that same amount I presented, also being, of course, the same as the expenditures on the very last page of this spreadsheet. When I get there. Right there. And also the next part of it is the fee schedule. Council had requested a couple of changes in relation to removing the fees for development ordinance amendment, the comprehensive plan amendment, and there were some other adjustments that the planning director recommended. And this is the same fee schedule that was proposed on May the 23rd. And then the very last part of the budget document is the actual ordinance itself, and it's basically the summary document that you'll need to consider for adoption tonight of everything that we just went over. And that's all I have for the presentation, and we'll have a public hearing and have discussion and go from there.
Okay, we will open the public hearing at this time. Do we have any folks that would like to speak regarding the budget? We don't have anyone listed, but you're welcome to. Let's take 5 minutes, 3 minutes, I'm sorry.
I wouldn't need that. Down to the L 3, 4, 6 months later. I just want to address what Scott had mentioned. He said that nobody showed up for the public hearing